This past weekend, IEM Katowice happened for League of Legends. Let's take a look at how it went. First, let's go several weeks back. On February 9th, Cloud9 dropped out. By the 14th, G2 had replaced Cloud9, which meant that there was really no North American presence at the event at all, including, by the way, the casters. Then, just a few days before the event, we found out that EDG was not going to be able to participate, and they were replaced by Hong Kong Esports. Around the same time, Carmack made a thread on the League of Legends subreddit titled Addressing Challenges Around IEM, the Memories, and the Strife, where he reviewed the technical issues and challenges that IEM had had in the past, and that he really hoped that it would be smooth sailing going forward. Unfortunately, by the first day of the event, on Wednesday, there were already audio sync issues and other technical issues. The following day on Thursday, the stream died, and we also saw something very unique where op shots were heard during the League of Legends broadcast.
To a gold lead, but it certainly is a big pressure lead for G2. They're going to go.
Now you might be wondering if there was a CSGO event happening at the same time. No, in fact, Reddit detectives found out that the production team was just watching a CSGO highlight from Reddit that you could actually compare and match up.
Perks. Go back to picking up the blue. Big win there. Finally, it doesn't lead to a gold lead, but it certainly is a big pressure lead for G2. They're going to go and wave clear in the bottom lane for now.
So even the production team wasn't really paying attention to the League of Legends broadcast. Strangely, the event had a break in the middle of it, so they resumed on Saturday, which unfortunately just became a day of pauses with all sorts of technical issues creating havoc. In addition, there were other awkward moments, including H2K and HKE cutting before the game was even done. Perhaps there was no greater technical failure than on Sunday, when games started 2 hours late, and one Redditor commented that his guinea pig had actually given birth during that time. I think maybe it's time to call it quits for League of Legends at IEM. A lot of people have been saying this, and I know that I'm just kind of hopping on the bandwagon here, but I want to be clear that I am not trying to necessarily be mean or cruel to ESL. I think that they have done tremendous things, and IEM in particular is a great historical landmark for League of Legends. There are so many great events that happened from IEM, and it really laid the groundwork for things that could later on become the LCS. The problem is that IEM is kind of the strange artifact that exists from so long ago. It doesn't really make sense within the League of Legends ecosystem. You have consistently teams that turn down the event. They try to position it kind of as a really exciting matchup of international teams, but ultimately often end up in really strange situations where you might have a top team from one region and maybe very mediocre teams from others. It's just becoming more and more of an issue. And it does seem that, and maybe this is because they don't do League of Legends events that often, they can't seem to solve the technical issues anymore. We just consistently see these problems, and it becomes almost damaging for the League of Legends esports brand. Furthermore, the whole thing is kind of confusing from a brand perspective too. Think about Katowice. It's literally the IEM World Championships, so the IEM League of Legends World Championships. So suddenly you have this League of Legends World Championship happening 4 months after the actual League of Legends World Championships. For anybody who doesn't really follow League of Legends, that whole situation might be kind of confusing. And while I can't really say for certain that this was an actual article, I did see an interesting tweet recently from somebody who showed a newspaper article about how Taiwan had won the League of Legends World Championships, all because of this confusion around branding. None of it really makes sense anymore. And after so many years of IEM doing League of Legends post-LCS creation, I'm just not convinced that this event can succeed in a very meaningful or exciting way. And it's not good for ESL either, or Intel, who sponsors the whole thing. The brand is really starting to degrade every League of Legends event they have. There are more pauses, there are more issues, there are more difficulties in getting great teams to come, less and less of the well-known casters attend. It's probably a really good idea to just sort of lock this thing down and preserve the history that it had before you keep trying to force this. And from Riot's perspective, I don't really know why they are incentivized to keep doing this event, other than maybe the really strange idea that it only helps them look better. Because, again, comparing LCS or any of their Riot international tournaments to this thing, it just pales in comparison. And I think it's important to point out that there are a lot of arguments that perhaps this is not necessarily all ESL's fault. There are conversations to be had about how much time Riot actually allows this thing to take place and how many international teams are allowed to attend. Perhaps IEM San Jose, which happens shortly after Worlds, could actually be a much cooler event if you had a lot greater teams, but the technical issues might still abound. Leave Intel Extreme Masters League of Legends where it belongs, in the history books, with D-Man and Joe doing amazing casts and the XPeke backdoor and so many fun moments from the old CLG team and TSM. it's really historic, but it doesn't need to be murdered to death at this point from all these repeated tournaments that just seem to let everybody down. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Travis Talks. You can catch more League of Legends and esports coverage here at Yahoo Esports.